finally Friday. It's Friday, Friday.
Thank God it's
Welcome back to the Friday Show, presented this week by the Match Series. Monday, all four divisions will be represented in a great day of racing at Parks, and then, of course, the overall championship for the Match Series still to be decided. I'm Scott Jagow, along with Ray Paulick. Glad to have you with us. Coming up, we'll talk about this year's three-year-old crop, but first, Ray, big story of the week had to be what happened in Illinois. Churchill Downs Incorporated announcing that it's not going to seek a license for a casino at Arlington Park after all these years of lobbying for this gaming act, and then it comes to, it's been implemented, the act is passed, and now they're saying, no, we're not going to do a casino at Arlington, and the horsemen are furious about this. What's your take?
Well, it's a sad situation for sure. The CEO of Churchill Downs Incorporated, Bill Carstanjen, tipped his hand, I thought, several weeks ago during a call with investment analysts. And he said, we are not prepared to say what we're going to do about Arlington Park at this time, but we'll make a public announcement before the deadline. Well, the deadline was this week. They announced that they're not going to apply for the casino license. And what they really didn't say in there is that they own the Rivers Casino, which is 11 miles away from Arlington Park. And if Arlington had a casino, it would be competing in the same marketplace as the Rivers Casino, which is right by O'Hare Airport. It's the number one casino as far as revenue in Illinois. And they don't want to sell it to anybody else either, I don't think, Arlington, because then it would still be competing with them. So Churchill Downs is a publicly traded company. Their stock has done very well over the years, but they are beholden to their shareholders more than they are to the horse racing industry, which is what helped them get the slot machines, and which is what Churchill Downs was when it was first made a public company some 70 years ago. It was a racetrack company. Now it's a gaming company.
It's an understatement to say that their stock has gone up in the last few years. I mean, it's skyrocketed, and it's been a public company for decades. And so they've always had this beholden to shareholders attitude because they're a public company, and they're an easy target because of that in the racing industry. But I guess it's the process, it's the way that they operate that makes people kind of angry. Because all along, the horsemen in Illinois thought they were on the same side with Churchill Downs, with the operator of Arlington Park. Now, it's a slap in the face. And I get that Churchill Downs looks at it from a numbers perspective because they do have to think about their shareholders. Their whole business is about making money for their shareholders since it is a public company. It's just that all this process of supporting, lobbying, we want to get casino licenses in Illinois so to help horse racing. See, that's the caveat here. They don't want to pay the purses. They don't want to put the money as required if you have one of these licenses into purses. So that's where everyone in horse racing can be mad at Churchill Downs, because that just seems to indicate they don't care about racing.
Yeah, the breeders, owners, trainers, everybody that works in the industry over the last 20 years or more have been holding on to hope that they would get a casino at Arlington Park that would help them be more competitive. In the 20 years though that this lobbying has gone on, there have been expansions of gambling in Illinois, including every corner bar can have a few slot machines if it wants to. But still, we see Hawthorne rushing to build a casino because they can make it work. They can make the numbers work. We see Fairmount Park doing the same thing, but we don't see Churchill Downs because it's not that they can't make it work. It's because it's in the market. It's in the same region as their big casino. It'd be like having a very successful store on one corner and then opening another store on the other side of the street that offers the same goods. You're not going to do that. Churchill Downs is going for a casino in Waukegan, which is on the north side of, far north end of Chicago, near the Wisconsin state line. And they're threatening, maybe that's too, they're raising the possibility of moving Arlington, moving the racetrack somewhere else. I don't know where they'd move it. There are geographical restrictions as far as where you can put a racetrack within a certain circumference. You can't move into another racetrack's territory and build a track. So I'm not sure where they'd build another track if they did. But this is sad. We've seen the foal crop in Illinois drop from roughly 1,000 to under 200 foals. Illinois bred races are now open to state breds from Louisiana and Arkansas. I'm afraid that after 2020 and 2021, they say they're going to race, that this could be the end for Arlington Park.
Their purses are so terrible right now. They're not even competing with the likes of Minnesota or Indiana or Iowa even, in terms of the level of the purses. Now, in Kentucky, Churchill Downs, the complaint has always been they don't care about racing, but the purses in Kentucky are great now because of the historical racing machines that provide purse money. And again, the law says where that money should be divided up, and some of it goes to the purses. So Churchill Downs, the racetrack, has pretty decent purses these days, right? So, but it's a totally different situation here because they haven't agreed to that yet at Arlington. The act has been passed, but they haven't agreed to the parameters, and they don't have to, and that puts the racing industry over a barrel in Illinois because Churchill Downs has that property. They can hold on to it and still keep screwing the racing industry, basically, or they could sell it, but then their own self-interests are a problem there because
right.
that casino is 11 miles down the road, as you pointed out. So it's a tough situation to be in if you're the racing industry in Illinois.
Yeah, and I don't know where this ends. Adding insult to injury, I think, for Illinois horsemen is the fact that Churchill wants to put in, I think, a sports book at Arlington. No revenue from the sports book will go into purses, at least the way the law is written. And of course, what they really wanted out of this Illinois Gaming Act that passed earlier this year was iGaming, which is online betting. And that's the big number that they really wanted to go after. They already have the biggest casino in Rivers Casino, and now with iGaming, they can corral a big part of the online gambling market in Illinois.
Well, share your thoughts with us. We have a poll about this development in Illinois racing, PaulickReport.com, and you can provide your opinion for us. Well, Ray, last weekend we had yet another 3-year-old colt win a Grade 1 race. I think the tally is 7 now when you go back to the spring. We had different winners of all the Triple Crown races. Maximum Security is the only one that's won 2, the Haskell and Florida Derby. Code of Honor making it the 7th, different horse. So what does that tell you as we head into the fall here about this crop?
It says there's a lot of uncertainty. The fact that two of the 3 horses that won the Triple Crown races, Country House and Sir Winston, are on the shelf, maybe done for the year. Game Winner, who never really put it together, is currently on hiatus. He hasn't had a workout for at least a couple weeks. Code of Honor has emerged as a leading candidate for year-end honors with that first Grade 1 win. He's going to have to do more between now and the end of the year to catch Maximum Security, who I think everybody would agree is the leader of the pack. And he could add a third Grade 1 win in the Pennsylvania Derby, which is a smart way to compile a record that when you look at it at the end of the year, you say, hey, he won the Haskell, he won the Florida Derby, he won, if he wins, the Pennsylvania Derby, and he finished first in the Kentucky Derby and is disqualified. So he's going to be hard to, I think, dislodge from the number 1 spot. It maybe will come down to the Breeders' Cup Classic because Code of Honor, I think, is going next in the Jockey Club Gold Cup. Yeah, the Breeders' Cup Classic is going to be interesting this year simply because you have this sort of deep group of pretty good horses as the 3-year-olds. I mean, I don't think there's a standout beyond Maximum Security, and we still don't know how good he actually is.
we'll see this fall for sure, and especially if he goes in the Breeders' Cup Classic. And then the older division, it's not that deep. Mackenzie is at the top probably, and then this weekend we're going to have some of those candidates in the Woodward at Saratoga. But there's also wild cards out there like Omaha Beach. He could be the best horse of this crop, but he's on the comeback trail. Improbable just came back with a victory after quite a bit of a layoff, and he's a pretty good racehorse too. Maybe he's more of a late developer like some of these other horses could be. Tacitus comes to mind, where he keeps finishing second, but he's a pretty good racehorse, and maybe if he puts it all together, he's the one at the end of the year that surprises us in the Breeders' Cup Classic.
Yeah, I think there is a lot of talent in the three-year-old division. Some of the horses are sidelined, but who knows how this is going to pan out between now and the end of the year as far as who gets the three-year-old championship. The older horse division is okay. There's not a lot of great depth there, but I would not be surprised, like you, I think, to see a three-year-old do really well in the Breeders' Cup Classic. And let's not forget, it's at Santa Anita. Richard Mandela has Omaha Beach on the comeback trail. He has an incredible record at Santa Anita for the Breeders' Cup. And so that horse he could be very tough if he's as good on the comeback as he was before he had the issue that's forced him out of the Kentucky Derby and subsequent surgery.
That is going to do it for this edition of the Friday Show, presented by the Match Series. Don't forget, it's coming up on Monday, the next round, 4 different divisions at Parks. Ray, this week, heavy hearts in the racing industry as we lost a great jockey, Hall of Famer Randy Romero. What do you remember about him?
Well, everybody knows how tough he was because of what he had to endure, starting with a long time ago. He was involved in a fire at Oaklawn Park, but he was a nice person. He was as nice on the inside as he was tough on the outside. So much talent. He gave so much to the game. He really has endured a lot of suffering in recent years. So let's hope he's resting in peace now.
We're going to leave you with one of his more famous rides, Personal Ensign in the 1988 Distaff, which capped off her career as undefeated 13 for 13. Thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you next time.
Stevens going to a vigorous left-handed whip, holding on by 2. Goodbye Halo is charging hard. Here comes Personal Ensign, unleashing a furious run on the outside, but it is still winning colors. Goodbye Halo. Personal Ensign is 16th of a mile from the wire. Winning colors is there. Personal Ensign, a dramatic finish, and here is the wire, and it is Personal Ensign there with winning colors in a photo. Very close. At the 16th pole, it looked like Personal Ensign was facing her first defeat, but in those final 110 courageous yards, she certainly proved herself a champion this afternoon.